So ever since I do this video a lot more times from the previous, few years, and doing a lot of shipping for no reason at all, I decided to take a break from, most of the series and decided to do something else. So I think I'll start reviewing some Thomas movies. So I never do Thomas movie reviews ever since I do a review on season 14. So, without further ado, let's take a look at one of my movies, which is all good, bad, okay, mid, and somewhat disgrace. So, without further ado, let's start off the first movie that started it all, is Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Thomas and the Magic Railroad first released in the year 2000s, and it doesn't go very well. Ever since the box office flop failure, this is actually Thomas's downfall. But is it true it was Thomas's downfall? Actually, no, it's not. I mean, it is a good movie, but a bad movie at the same time. Like, the audience were confused about what movie is good or bad. I think this movie is actually put effort to it. Now, the reasons why the movie is pretty all over the place was a good reason. The story was all over the place, the acting is pretty bad, and most of the engines didn't get enough screen time, only for the humans to be in more screen time than the engines. Which is weird. Now, let's talk about the good things about the movie. First of all, the engines and the lighting. The engines did an amazing job in the movie. Like the model props and everything else looks so beautiful, colorful and bright. But we also have the main villain, Diesel 10. But we get to him that later. Anyways, the movie is richly pretty good for the engines. It was a good start, but it sounds like a production and not a Thomas film. Which is unquestionable. Now, to be honest, the movie isn't entirely all bad. I mean, the actors did a great job. And needless to say, everything was so much put into it, I had actually give everyone a good credit here. Even though the movie isn't all bad, at least it was a very enjoyable movie for everyone and the kids to watch. Although, I do understand that Thomas and the Magic Railroad isn't a good movie to other Thomas fans. Well, most of it. Now, let's get into some of the prints and more. First of all, remember George and Thomas, the tank engine in Season 5? Well, George was originally going to be in the movie, but he was dropped for understandable reasons, because his model prop wasn't finished, and they have to, cut him entirely. Another reason why there was some character like Edward, one of the main characters. So Tom Pat was on the way. Some people think that Edward took Sir Tom Pat for his holiday as a soldier's private engine. Wait a minute. I got it. I think I remember something. I need more evidence. I just need more evidence. Something that... Reason why Edward wasn't in the movie? Take place during Season 5. Viaduct being under construction. The small lump of cast and... I got it! I got it! I got it! I have figured out why Edward wasn't in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Because it takes place after Season 2! When I watched a headcanon of Unlucky Tug's video of Thomas 40s, saying it takes place after and during Season 2. And newest surprise, I think Unlucky Tug had missing one thing, and that is Edward. The reason why, because it takes place in season 2, because it was an interesting idea why the reasons why the cast was small. The reasons why and how it was introduced, and the viaduct being under construction. In the fan video, a video was shown that Edward was at the works being repaired after Edward's exploit. A cut episode might be the reason there was evidence why Edward wasn't in the movie. So Sir Topham Hatt borrowed Season 10 not only just to help with the railway's construction, but also had to help at Edward's branch line while Edward was being away at the works being repaired. And he was brought Spider and Dodge to help with the plan. So I think Edward was in the movie because he was at the works being repaired. It takes place after season 2! Haha! I figured a clue! But to be honest, I think that was a really good forwarding why Edward wasn't in the movie. Hence the reason why Diesel 10 was sent here to help at Edward's branch line. Now that is clever. Now, what review I should do now? Oh yeah, right, the review. Now, Thomas and the Magic Railroad is an enjoyable and non-enjoyable film that has some good points and bad points, and there are some flops here and there, but it was still a very enjoyable movie than some Thomas films. But we get to that to the next part. Now, the Magic Railroad movie isn't that really good, and it doesn't go well because the ratings were not enough to save the budget, but thanks to the merchandise, the movie is entirely their fault. If you want more described video, I highly recommend you watch the Unlucky's Tugs videos. Anything about the Magic Railroad, explain everything, and even including some cut versions that was all the reasons why. I'll give credit to some video viewers for doing this entire review. So, why might I give this Magic Railroad film? Even though the movie isn't that good to watch, it's still good enough for everyone to enjoy. And it's not the Thomas downfall we all know. So, just for the movie's review, I have nothing more to say, but it was a really good and enjoyable, good or bad movie. I'll give this movie between the middle of the ranking a 5.5 out of 10. Calling all engines. The Great Discovery. Now this is Season 5 action-packed. The Great Discovery is a really great finale to Thomas the Tank Engine. In fact, it was originally going to be the final Thomas model before Season 12, which is my favorite season from Season 12, but personally, The Great Discovery has so much whatever to it that it has everything right. The story, the characters, and it feels like a real Thomas movie, all combined together. Well, it's about time they got the budget right. Now, I know people know about this movie, and I do, but I'm surprised this movie was actually did a lot well. Now, Thomas discovers a town called Great Waterton, which was actually a really clever idea. In fact, it works pretty well. He put a lot of detail and everything to the models and the sets. Thank goodness there's an improvement of Season 11. Now, The Great Discovery has all the answers, and we all know probably. The models, Pierce Brosnan, everything else is so great! The story is like a real Thomas story, and it feels combined into one movie. Now that is clever and amazing. Now, to be honest, I actually enjoyed the movie when I was a kid. since the year 2008. And needless to say, all the models in the lighting was so well detailed. And I think it was an improvement from both two model movies. And that they put so much effort to it, they did a really good job of it. I have no word to say, but this movie is really amazing. AKA the best Thomas movie in the Thomas community. Hashtag. And that's pretty much it for the movie. I have run out of words to say, but to be honest, I think the movie is perfect fine where it is. And as for the movie as a whole, I'll give this movie a highest score, surprisingly, 100 out of 10. I know that was overnumbered, but hey, it's me. This is my opinion.